Welcome to Orange Heat. My name is Giovanni Heater. I am a high school student, diehard Syracuse Orange fan, and pursuing sports broadcaster. I want to thank you for joining me on my first episode. The date today is November 1st, 2018. I want to apologize first off for starting dead center in the middle of the football season, but it is the beginning of the basketball season, and this is something that I've been wanting to do for a long time. Just didn't really know exactly how to do it. But nonetheless, here we are. This is a show where I plan to do a lot of talking, a lot of post-game, pre-game, give my opinion on what's going on with the team, and just give updates. It's something that I enjoy doing, so I hope you guys can enjoy listening in the future, trying to get a little bit of exposure here and stuff. One of my biggest influences has been the Cuse Militia podcast, so if you want to go ahead and hit them up on Twitter, @Cuse Militia. They do a podcast a couple times a week. They do a great job there, Sean and Joe. They've been a big help to me so far. And if you want to hit me up on Twitter, I'm @GeoHeater. I do a lot of Syracuse stuff. I'm active a lot on there with all the different Syracuse accounts. Nonetheless, let's get right into it. First, I was thinking we could discuss basketball. You know, there's a lot to discuss with both teams. You can't complain at all. 3 teams, women's basketball, men's basketball, and Syracuse football all ranked in the top 25, and that's absolutely huge. It's never happened in my lifetime before with Syracuse football being ranked, and I am absolutely stoked about it. And I'm just about as big a fan as there is, as you can see behind me. So let's dive right into basketball. Last night, Syracuse takes down Moyne at the Dome in an exhibition matchup, 89-52. And the first thing I want to say is, how about Elijah Cuse? 21 points, 7 for 9 for field goals, and 2 for 3 from the three-point line. I mean, are you kidding me? Coming in off the bench, he is a redshirt from Eastern Carolina. And I knew he was going to be good. A lot of people said he was going to be good, but he's been exceptional so far in exhibition play. Let's see how he does with some more competition. Very, very excited for him. Next, Buddy Boeheim. Buddy Boeheim played huge in his first game. He had somewhere, I think it was like 19 points or something like that. This game, only 13 points, but hey, 13 points. But the big thing with him for me is his confidence. I saw him, he literally just kind of stepped back and let a deep 3 fly last night, and he drained it. And I was like, wow, this kid's special. Because for a freshman to come in like that, with that kind of confidence in the Dome, and just stare down the basket and shoot it up from deep, there's nothing like that. And it's really good to see that, because we've been lacking the three-point shooting the last couple seasons. Not that it wasn't there, but it wasn't what it could have been. Arguably one of the missing tokens to having a really, really successful team of many missing tokens. But Buddy Boeheim being able to shoot, and honestly Cuse as well put up some threes. And they're both looking very, very good. I'm very excited for both of those two guys. Next, I want to discuss Robert Braswell, and the thing about him is I think he's going to be good. I just think he needs time. You see Boeheim coming in as a freshman, he's confident. It could have to do with he's been in the Dome his entire life. Cuse, same thing, although Cuse has 2 years of college basketball under his belt. One was spent redshirting. Nonetheless, he has 2 years under his belt. And I don't think Braswell's quite there yet. He had a little bit of production. He had one play in particular that he crossed over one of the Moyne defenders and took it right to the hole, and I was like, okay, so the future's bright. I think he's going to be one of those players similar to Merrick Dolezaj in the sense that he needs a year or two to progress to be the best of his potential. I certainly think we'll have him for a long time. Merrick Dolezaj, how about the shot confidence coming in? He drained a 3 last night. It was off of a nice pass there. I think it was from Brissett, and he was in the corner, and he didn't hesitate whatsoever. Last year, you would have never seen him take that shot. So that's a great sign. He's still hustling out there, playing well in the post. Very, very excited for him. Honestly, I'm most excited for him out of maybe anybody on this basketball team. The way he really flourished at the end of last basketball season, coming into this new season. Very excited about Merrick Dolezaj. Sidibe looks pretty good. The knee looks healthy, looking good defensively. Offensively, you can see the paint production. Has a little bit of trouble finishing at the rim as it appeared last night. Nonetheless, I think Sidibe is going to be a big contributor this year with that healthy knee. It's just been great to see other players step up. O'Shea Brissett and Tyus Battle did combine for 27 points last night. But, it's great to see people like Boeheim, people like Cuse, new faces stepping up, scoring the ball. Merrick Dolezaj even compared to most of last season. He came out at the end, but it's great to see new players stepping up, and I think this is going to be a very, very special basketball season in Syracuse, New York. One thing I think we should all take into consideration is, yeah, they put up 89 points, and guess what? They did it without Jalen Carey, and they did that without Frank Howard and Howard Washington as well, even though I don't think he's going to be as big of an aspect of this offense. But, some people are talking, sloppiness, this, that, and yeah, I agree. The game was a little bit sloppy. But they put up 89 points. Granted, it was a Division II basketball squad in Moyne. They put up 89 points without two of their biggest players on the court. Frank Howard in the Big Three last year, and I think Jalen Carey, the best recruit we have in this 2018 class. And I'm very, very excited to see both of them. Hopefully they're going to be healthy to get go for the first game. What I've been reading in articles and such is they should be healthy for the first game. So we'll see when we host Eastern Washington on November 6th in the Carrier Dome. One last thing on basketball, touch upon the recruits. Last night we got the commitment of Quincy Guerrier. He's a 4-star. It was between us, Illinois, and Oregon, and he chose the Orange, which is huge. I think that was big in part to another huge commit, Joe Girard III. Chose us over Duke, Boston College, Notre Dame, Michigan, and I think it was Penn State. Huge commit there for Syracuse. And I think the thing about Girard is he opens the door for bigger and better recruits to come along because they see him coming in. For instance, I believe it's Isaiah Stewart, I want to say. Big recruit. I heard he's having a lot going on with Michigan State right now. Might be leaning in that direction. Nonetheless, he's on our board. And, they were going back and forth. They played together on some club teams or whatever. And I think just even though Girard's going to be great in himself, he's a 4-star. I think he's going to open the door to some even bigger and better players. And I think that's part of the reason Guerrier's coming to the Orange. We also have a great center coming in a Jock. And I'm excited for him, too. I think he's going to be a big help going along nicely with Barama Sidibe. And I think the future is bright in Syracuse. Finally, we have no more penalties. Boeheim's got all his scholarships, and it's time to get the positivity back. Next, let's move on to the 19th ranked team in the nation, the Syracuse Orange football team led by head coach Dino Babers. I got my tie on, sporting my Syracuse football tie. Love it, love it, love it. And let's talk about the rankings first. So you beat NC State in the Dome. Huge game, 51-41. Huge coming out for Eric Dungy, blah, blah, blah. We'll get into all that in a second. I was really hopeful, wasn't completely sure. Everything I've been reading, everyone's saying, yeah. But I'm thinking, you met all the requirements. The only piece missing was beating a ranked team, pretty much. There you go. You beat NC State, ranked number 22 in the nation. So the coaches poll came out about 1 o'clock, and I was like, okay, 24th. And I'm thinking, usually the coaches poll tends to be a little more optimistic towards Syracuse than the actual AP poll from what we've been seeing so far as the votes have gone, and in the receiving votes category. And then the AP came out at 2, and I immediately was very, very excited. Number 22 in the country. I was calling everybody. I was all over Twitter, very pumped about that. And then it was time for the college football playoff rankings Tuesday night. And I'm thinking all the way from Sunday till Tuesday, I'm like, man, this could go one of two ways. They could either, think as Syracuse very good, give us some credit for that Clemson close game and whatnot, or this could go poorly and they could move us down a little bit, even maybe out. And I'm thinking, it's just on my mind. And I was nervous about it, blah, blah, blah. And then it comes out, and we're 19th, and I'm stoked. And I think, thinking about it, I thought 22 was a good comfort level. I thought it was even maybe a little bit high. But after seeing what people had to say with the college football playoff rankings, I think that's spot on. I think Syracuse belongs in the top 20. I think 19 is a perfect spot for them at the moment. Because you got to take into consideration, this team is 2 plays away from being undefeated. Which hurts a little bit, honestly, when you talk about that Pitt football game and that Clemson game, that you're so close to being in the playoffs, it's not even funny. Clemson, couple plays. You had a fourth down stop opportunity, couldn't capitalize on it. You had a fourth down opportunity. We had the illegal man downfield and everything like that. Pitt, you had a fourth down opportunity and you let them get a first down, and then you take a loss in overtime. You just couldn't stop that run in both consecutive games, and it cost you. And it's unfortunate, but nonetheless, we're ranked for the first time in 17 years. We are number 19 in the college football playoff poll, and the college football playoff poll is the one that matters, the top 25 for the college football playoffs. That's what the nation's going to go off of from here on out until the end of the season, and that's just huge. I think it's huge for the fan base. I think it's huge for Dino Babers, and I think that everyone needs to pack the dome next Friday night. But with that being said, we need to take care of business down in Wake Forest this weekend. To reflect back on the NC State game, huge game for Dungey, 411 passing yards, 4 total touchdowns. Absolutely monumental. All week I was saying, I want DeVito. It's DeVito's time. And Dungey shut us all up. For lack of a better term, that's exactly what he did. He said, this is my team. And he played with some fire and energy we hadn't seen in some previous ball games. And it was great to see. It was great to see him fired up and, not to be that guy. But Dungey's a crap talker. And he was talking smack against NC State. And it was good to see because you felt like Eric Dungey was back. And I think the even better thing to see, Eric Dungey throws that bomb to Nykeem Johnson on the second drive of the ball game to go up 10-7. And guess who's running alongside him, running down the sideline, celebrating with him? Tommy DeVito. And Tommy DeVito is legit. And he knows that his time is going to be either if Dungey gets hurt, which fingers crossed he's not going to. Like to see him finish the season. But next season, it's the Tommy DeVito show. And this team's going to be special. I really think they are. And I think people are complaining a lot about our defense. And you know what? The defense, they gave up a lot to NC State. And they've given up a decent amount most of the season. Except, granted, the Clemson game, besides the run, they held Clemson to a few points, 27 points I think it was. But the thing with this defense, even though they might not be as productive in the secondary and at the linebacker position, they're big and they're good. The secondary, there's arguments both ways as far as the production goes, but Andre Sisco's a freshman and he led the nation in interceptions for a while. And we're forcing a lot of turnovers, which is great, and I think it's hugely in part to the defensive line. The defensive line is, I think, the biggest aspect of this football team besides the offense. The simple fact that they've been able to hit quarterbacks. Alton Robinson, absolute beast. I think he's going to be an NFL draft pick someday. Kendall Coleman, absolute beast. Chris Slayton, great players out there on the defensive line. They've been able to hit every quarterback we've played, and that's the biggest part, I think, besides Eric Dungey in the offense, as to why we beat NC State. Ryan Finley was rattled, okay? And he delivered some great throws, but every single play, if he wasn't on his butt, he was definitely pressured. And the D-line and the defensive coaching staff did a great job of doing that, and that definitely contributed to the win. Another thing about this football team is everybody is so young. I mean, besides Eric Dungey and some players like Antoine Cordy and Christopher Fredericks and such like that, this team is very young. Taj Harris, freshman. Nykeem Johnson, sophomore. Jarvian Howard, who I think is going to be absolutely huge, paired up with Abdul Adams next year, freshman. Who else we got? Can I name any more? Tommy DeVito, he's going to be huge, and he's just a redshirt freshman. Trill Williams, Andre Sisco. I mean, the list can go on and on and on and on and on and on. The future's bright. That's all I have to say, and I'm very excited about this SU football team. I'm always excited, and I'm always optimistic, but I think we're going to be in the conversation of being good as long as Dino Babers is around, which is absolutely huge. Another one, Gabe Horan, the tight end from Central New York, filling in for Ravian Pierce, doing a great job with blocking, even receiving a touchdown against UConn. So this team is young. This team is very good, I think, and I think get used to the name Syracuse football if you're not a fan. Now previewing Wake Forest, I think that this game scares me a little bit. Not going to lie. We have one win under Dino Babers in the last 3 seasons on the road as far as ACC matchups go. And I think that really Wake Forest is a direct reflection of Pitt. I think we're playing Pitt all over again, basically. Matt Colburn, the running back for Wake Forest, is legit. And he absolutely shattered Louisville last weekend, rushing for over 240-something yards, putting touchdowns up on the board. He was huge for them last weekend, and we've struggled with the run game. Interesting to see how we prepare for that. Interesting to see what our answer to that is going to be. But there are other similarities to Pitt that may help us. Sam Hartman, freshman quarterback, helps us a lot. We have a capability of getting to the quarterback, hitting the quarterback, shocking them early, and he's a freshman. Huge. I think the inexperience is going to help us, as well as the fact that he might not have been hit like that yet this season, and when we get a hold of him, it might rattle him enough, to really help us in our favor. Dungy, I'm expecting another big game out of him. He's going to be having that fire lit under his butt, I think, because he wants to, 6 wins isn't enough for this team. They're not satisfied. The fans aren't satisfied. We need more at this point. 4 ball games left. Let's go. Giddy up, because you're in every single ball game, and you can win every single ball game. Receivers have been playing huge. I think they'll continue to play huge. I think the key to this game is going to be outscoring them. Pitt's 124th ranked defense in the country is atrocious. They are an absolute mess, and that's a good sign because they've allowed 35 points to Louisville. Louisville is not a very good football team at all. I think they're the worst team in the ACC by far. I think that Bobby Petrino, I've never liked Bobby Petrino. It's time for him to... And, it just goes to show what losing a quality player like Lamar Jackson does for you because that team is really bad. Jawan Puma Pass, their quarterback, it's rough. It's rough. And they scored 35 points on the Demon Deacons, even though Wake Forest came away with a win. They still allowed 35 points to the worst team in the ACC. So their defense is bad. Dungy should have a field day. The entire offense should have a field day. I'd like to see some good production out of the running backs, get the running game going. Strickland, Moneal, and Jarvian Howard, I think, are all strong. I think Jarvian Howard is the best running back on the football team. He hasn't gotten as many carries as the others, but that's okay. His time will come. I think that another big thing for this Syracuse team is they got to start early, similar to how they did against NC State. I think that Wake Forest is going to take time to get that run game really going. I don't know if the pass game is ever going to really come into a flow, but you never know. And I think you need some stops early. I think you need to come out. I think you need to score quickly, and you need a stop or two because towards the end of the game, that could be the difference, that stop or two. I think this is going to be very similar to the Pitt game. Difference being, I think Syracuse is going to come out tough this time. A lot of momentum, come out strong. I think Syracuse is going to want it, and I am excited for this ball game because I think Syracuse will handle it better than they did the Pitt game. I think they're going to walk away with a win this time. My projection for this game is going to be 42 Syracuse, 35 Wake Forest, the Orange, leaving in Winston-Salem with a W. Moving on to 7-2 on the season, moving up in the rankings, setting up for a nice game Friday night in the Carrier Dome against Louisville again, the worst team in the ACC. Should be a nice cakewalk. The thing is, everybody seems to always give Syracuse their best game. You saw it with North Carolina. And you saw it with Pitt as well. So no game's a cakewalk. It is the ACC. But I think you're going into Notre Dame, and you're going in with an 8-2 record, and your 2 top 15 teams. I think College Game Day could go there. And I think that's going to be something special, something Syracuse fans have not been able to see in a long, long time. I know I'm excited. First priorities, got to take care of business on the road this weekend. Road win here in the ACC would be huge for this football team. Let's please not see them choke out now. It's just, please. I think they'll be just fine, though. I have a lot of confidence in our team after what we saw last weekend. With that being said, that's about it. That's all I have here on the Orange Heat Show. I want to thank you for joining me on my first episode, and look for some more. Please subscribe to the channel, like the video, hit me up on Twitter at GeoHeater, and thanks again. Go Syracuse. I think they're going to come away with the win, and we'll see you talk about some Syracuse football and basketball action. We'll be double dipping next week. Thanks. Let's go Orange.